last 5-10 years. But generally speaking, the rest of the Guru Sahib's Guru Purab, so when they were born, when they became Guru, or when they passed away, it's not really covered in much depth, I feel. Now this is a Shabad by Sri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. And we're going to focus on Sri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji's Bani, and we're going to come on to that, why we're going to focus onto what Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji's Bani is. Can I have a show of hands? I know there's not even that many of us, and you've just come, so welcome. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is, I think, if we're all Sikh, if I'm correct. There's no one non-Sikh here. Is there anyone that's not a Sikh here? Right. So that's fine. Everyone here is a Sikh. Guru Nanak Dev Ji is our first Guru. We've all accepted that we're Sikhs. Is there can we have a show of hands onto who thinks that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is a prophet or a messenger? Is there anyone then, the second category that you can put your hand up, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was just someone clever or revolutionary? And maybe a third show of hands if anyone thinks Guru Nanak Dev Ji to be God. There is a right and a wrong answer, but again, I won't judge you publicly, I'm joking, but I won't judge you at all. So if we can have a show of hands. So first of all, does anyone here think that Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji is like a prophet or a messenger and they brought a message from God and they gave it to us? Because that might not be wrong. Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first category. So second category was that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji is a revolutionary, that Mahatma Gandhi may be seen as a revolutionary, Nelson Mandela, just someone really clever with a lot of ideas, and they brought a new idea to the earth. Is there anyone that thinks that? Okay. I should have said that you can only really be in one category, but that's fine. I understand where you're coming from. If you're overlapping, that's fine as well. Now the third category, so the second category was of the revolutionary, and the third category maybe is that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was God. Does anyone believe that? Right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For the, I think it's about equal then between number 1 and number 3. Would anyone of the first group that thought Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a prophet or a messenger and not God, so not for those people that overlap, would you like to share maybe why you think that or where that thought's come from?
Or could we put our hands up for both?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I should have done for both 1 and 3. I thought it was only 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I'll put my hand up for 3. So
Is there anyone then, that completely believes that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was just a prophet or a messenger and they brought about a message? No. That's really good because I've been into lots of different cities across this country and even Canada, America, lots of different countries. And when we start these talks and we ask this question, you always have a few people that are confused about this. So I just want to clarify at the beginning, and this is a verse by Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. So what does Guru Ram Das, because that's what we're here to talk about and discuss. What image of God or of Guru Nanak Dev Ji does Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji have? Jina Nanak Satgur Pitya Tina Milaya Har Soi. That those people Nanak Satgur Pitya Jede Guru Nanak Dev Ji nu Milaya, those people that have found Guru Nanak Dev Ji in their life, whether that was during Guru Nanak Dev Ji's physical life, which was about the age of 70 years, or whether it's all of us, because we've all said that we're Sikhs and we have found Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, because that's why we are Sikhs, that Tinna Milaya Har Soi, then we've not actually just found ourselves a prophet, a messenger, an angel, any of these things. We're very fortunate, we found ourselves God. Tinna Milaya Har Soi. You could move the presentation. So there's this idea that we have, which is unique. Each religion, I don't think any religion actually has completely claimed, and it's a big claim, because we always talk about the gurus being humble and the gurus not worshipping themselves. As I was growing up especially, these things came about more and more. That jede gurus apne aap naal nahi jodya, they joined with Akal Purkh Waheguru. I'm not sure, maybe some of you have encountered things like that as well. But actually, when you start to look at Bani and Itihas, our history, you realize that ठीक है, Guru Nanak Dev Ji doesn't call himself God, but then Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji will call him God, and Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji will call the previous Gurus God. So they don't call it for themselves, but all the 9 subsequent Gurus recognize Guru Nanak Dev Ji to be God, and they're the form of Guru Nanak, so they are God too, right? Is the Guruship preordained? Because for me, it's a bit of an issue. If the Guruship, if who became Guru, was only found on this earth, then it doesn't really make sense to me, because if this is God and God always has a plan, this plan should have come about from somewhere. But Barney actually tells us that especially to do with Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, this Shabad is to do with Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. In Guru Granth Sahib Ji, we have a section which is called Patna de Savaiye. The Pats were a group of scholars that had travelled the whole of India looking for a spiritual master. Eventually, they came into the sanctuary of Tan Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, the 5th Guru. And when they came into the sanctuary of the Panjve Pasha Shri Guru Arjan Dev Sahib Ji, then they started to recite verses of praises of the first 5 Gurus, because that's where they had seen up until. And when it comes to Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, the Guru that preceded Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, they write this about how Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji became Guru. Sab vid manyo man, tab hi payo prasann, Raj Jog Takht Diyan Guru Ram Das. So what that means is, just to break it up, Sab vid manyo man. When Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji was completely convinced, when they were completely sure कि हुण मैं इनू गुरु बनाना Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji nu, tab hi payo prasann. That's when Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji became happy, prasann ho gaye. Raj Jog Takht Diyan Guru Ram Das. Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji nu, this throne of Raj, Jog, of the saint and the Sipahi, all of these different things can be meanings of Raj, Jog. To be a Raja is to be a king, and to be a yogi is to be a sadhu, a saint, someone that practices. So this Gaddi of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, his throne is that of Raj, Jog. You can see Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, at one stage of their life, they're like a king. At Anandpur Sahib, they have an elephant that's trained to do Jawar Sahib over them. They have beautiful canopies. And a few years later, Raj, Jog, they come into the Jog area, and Guru Sahib is at Machiwada, and in their feet are folds. You all know your history, I'm sure many of you probably have heard of it. So this is the throne of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and for that reason it was given to Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. So from looking at that Pangati and trying to understand what Barney is saying to us, what it seems to me is that the Guruship, it might not actually be preordained, because what this is saying, Sab vid manyo man, ke Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji da unna da man man gaya. So what that means is something must have happened in Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji's life for them to be happy on Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, for them to give the Gurta Gaddi. We can move on. Each of our Gurus, before they became a Guru, there was a test. Each of the Gurus. After Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji, for all 9 Padshahiyaan, there was a test each time. For Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji, as an example, the test was that Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji is now in a cage, and they've come to their final moment when their head is going to be decapitated at Chandni Chowk, Delhi. And even then, the test is this, that they send Barney to Shri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji. They send a letter in which Slok Mahal Nava, one of the Barneys of Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji is, and they ask Satguru Sahib Ji to complete it. So for each Guru Sahib Ji, there has been a test. Whether that test was open like it was for the second Guru. The second Guru, you'll be surprised, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji in history, they actually asked them to eat a corpse. That's what it comes to. I know that sounds disgusting and horrible, but it will all, if you listen to the Itihas, and there's a talk on it on the Seek to Inspire YouTube page about that, the test of Sikhi it's called, and it talks about how Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji was tested. So each Guru's had a test. Now it comes to the time, the point of the test is 2 things. One, that the next Guru is chosen, and number 2, that koi hor Guru na ban jaye. No one else can actually contest that they're worthy of being the Guru. So that's the 2 reasons for the test. So what the Guru usually does in all of their Jamme, even if it was Guru Nanak Dev Ji, they test their sons first. So what they do is they test their family, they test everyone, and then they prove that this person is the right person. So here again, what happens is Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, who's our 3rd Guru, they are testing who is going to be the fourth Guru. So they test Baba Moriji. Baba Moriji was their son. The way that they test Baba Moriji was that one day Baba Moriji said that Guru Maharaj, you sit down, but not a lot of people do matha take and put money down. They don't put money down. I'm not really happy about that. So what Guru Sahib Ji said was, Ki Sangat Ji, aj chalo Jidda Sahib Jai da sankalp hoya. Everyone put down 5 paise, put down 5 coins. Lots and lots of money was accumulated. There were thousands of people there. Fir Babe Mori nu kiya ke Mori tu ginda. And it was a hot day, and he began to count all the coins. And as he was counting, he was sweating, and the dirt of the coins, he was rubbing his sweat off. Uda muh kala ho gaya, right? And eventually, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji said, "Are you happy?" He said, "I'm very happy. I've got 1 lakh rupees. I've got 100,000 rupees today. It's been a very, very good day." But Sri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji said, "Look at the mirror. Look at the mirror." When he looked at the mirror, his face was black, right? So what they showed to him was, and he in his mind thought that he was worthy of being the Guru. But when he looked at the mirror, he actually realized, "Ki mera muh kala ho gaya. I've become blackened. Why? Because maybe I am still attached to money." Through the test, ek ta they tested it so the Sangat would see, and number 2, banda aap bhi samjh janda siga. They tested their nephew, Baba Savan Mal Ji. The way they tested Baba Savan Mal was that at the time, Govindwal Sahib was a city that Maharaj made, and lots of new housing was being constructed. And they asked Baba Savan Mal to go to a different city and bring some wood, timber for the construction of the houses. Baba Savan Mal Ji agreed, but Baba Savan Mal said that I'm a bit scared to go into a new realm, into a new area where there's a different king, a different monarch. I'm not too sure about it. Help me out. Can you send someone with my protection? Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, they had a rumal in their pocket or in their chola, and they took that rumal. Rumal is a handkerchief, and Itihad says that Guru Sahib said Satnam Vaheguru, and they passed it on to Baba Savan Mal ki koi na kirpa ho jugi. So Baba Savan Mal then goes to the city, and at the city, as soon as he enters there, the prince of that city, the king's son, he's died, and Baba Savan Mal comes and he's looking for timber, and the king is a bit annoyed that itte mera munda mariya and a new trader's coming to the city or whatnot. But what ends up happening is that Baba Savan Mal says that if you let me trade here or stay here, I can actually bring your son alive. And the way he does that is he says Satnam Vaheguru, and he takes the cloth and he brings that king's son back alive, because that was a kirpa that Maharaj had done on him in the form of a rumal. But actually the thing was, it was a test. Baba Savan Mal, he did get the timber and he sent it back to Govindwal Sahib, but now he had like this magical rumal, this magical handkerchief you could say, and what he began doing was whoever would come to him, he would, whatever they needed, if someone was ill, he would rub the rumal on them. If someone needed money, any of these things, he would actually just use the rumal and the spiritual power that he was given by the Guru for this purpose. Eventually what happened was that Guru Sahib Ji sent a letter कि हुन सावन मल हुन अपने लकड़ दा ते काम हो गया, come back now. And he thought to himself, if I go back, Maharaj might take the Ramal back from me, so I'm better off staying here. So he makes an excuse to the messenger that itte Raji ne minu rakh liya, the king wants me to do more, can I stay here for longer? And he doesn't go back. But what Maharaj does through their Shakti is they make him either lose the Ramal or it disappears, God knows, but he doesn't have the Ramal, then he has to go back. And in that way, when he comes back, because he thought he was worthy of being Guru, he actually realized that without the Guru, I'm nothing. And if I was to get the power of Raj, Jog, Takht, Deen, Guru Ramdas, if I was to have all that power, then I'd just misuse it. Ek to unu samajh aa gayi, ek sari sangat ne bhi dekh liya that Baba Savan Mal can't do it. Guru Ramdas Sahib, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji then tests the two son-in-laws, the Jawais. And at that time, has anyone ever been to Govindwal Sahib? Has anyone heard of Bodli Sahib that has 84 steps? Have you heard about it, Baji?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about it or anything about it?
You're supposed to do Japti Sahib 80 steps and then go downstairs
Yeah.
and do Ishnan and 84 steps. Then you get rid of Terasi Lakhdun.
Jasi left June. Right, brilliant. So basically what happened was Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, during their time as Guru, they stayed Guru for 22 years. they founded the city of Goindwal. And at Goindwal Sahib, they made a Bauli Sahib, which is like a well. And there were 84 steps to go down to this well. And Maharaj was so happy with all the Sikhs that were doing seva. Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, their son-in-law, who is our fourth Guru, was one of the people doing seva. And Maharaj became so happy that they blessed ke jeda mera Sikh itthe auga, and on these 84 steps he does a Japji Sahib, and there's a tariqa to do it which is written up Goindwal Sahib, at Bauli Sahib, the way that you're supposed to do it. If je mera Sikh karuga, then he won't have to come into the cycle of 84 lakh June. That's the story of Bauli Sahib. If anyone has any questions about that, we can discuss it afterwards. But Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji at this Bauli Sahib, they say to both of their son-in-laws that I need you to do a task for me. And Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji is actually quite old. They were over 70 when they got the Gurta Gatti. They've been doing it for 22 years and now it's come to the last year. So they're quite old, you know? Sorry, they were in their 60s when they became Guru. They asked Baba Ramaji, who they had two daughters, Bibi Dani and Bibi Pani. Bibi Dani Ji, her husband was called Baba Ramaji, and Bibi Pani Ji, her husband was Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. And they asked, the task that I have for you is that Minu Thada Chahi, that I need something to sit on. Maybe it looked like this, maybe it didn't, Hana. I think actually the actual Thada is actually still at Bauli Sahib. They asked both of their son-in-laws to make a platform for them. And what happens is they asked Baba Rama that you make it at the top of the stairs, and they asked Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji that you make it at the bottom of the stairs, and that they gave like a plan for it. I want it in a specific way, but they couldn't see what the other person was doing basically, because one's at the top, one's at the bottom. So the first day goes, and they both are creating it, building it. They build it, and Guru Amar Das Sahib comes in the evening, they come to the top, and they say to Baba Rama, I don't like it, make it again tomorrow. Okay, he dismantles it, whatever, and goes down, says the same to Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, they obey as well. Day 2 comes, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji come, and they do exactly the same thing. I don't like what you built, and they give him further instructions that no, I want it like this, in this angle, I want this, I want that. What do they both do? They start again the next day, third day. When it was the third day, and both Jawais carried on, Jawai means son-in-law, when both son-in-laws followed the instruction of Sadhguru Sahib Ji, Maharaj Sahib Ji went to Baba Rama first, and they said to Baba Rama that Minu Binga lagdaya, that it looks a bit slanted, if it looks a bit wrong. And Baba Rama was a bit annoyed at this stage, understandably really. It's been 3 days like this, and it's like a DIY project that's just not getting right. And he's followed all the instructions, and it actually looks fine. But Maharaj ne kya, it binga lagda hai. It looks slanted. And he says to Sadhguru Sahib Ji that Sadhguru Sahib Ji, you're old now, and maybe you can't see properly. That's what he says. Now, to me and you, that may seem disrespectful, or it actually might seem fair enough. Okay, there's an old person that's asking you to do it 3 times in a row. Maybe they have got old. Goes down. Sadhguru Sahib Ji goes down Bauli Sahib, and they go to where Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji is. They go, and Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji just built it, and they show him, and Maharaj Sahib Ji says that Minu theek nahi lagda, purkha minu changa nahi lagda, ye bingaya. And they do matha take, and they hold the feet of Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji and benti karte hai, Maharaj, main murkh ya, I'm a fool, I don't know how to do these things. Mere to thodi agya manni hui, what you wanted me to do, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. Tusi mere te kirpa karo, bless me so that I can do it. And the thing was, they didn't really want a platform for themselves anyways. But utthe jaake fir sangat nu kiya ki jehda Baba Rama hai, कि ये तो मेरी उम्र मापन लग पिया. He's become a judge of my age, and he's been started to call me elderly. कि ये अहंकार, he's become arrogant. Is he really worthy of being the Guru? So if we could go back a slide, so it's really, to our eyes, sab vid manyo man, tabi hi payo prasanna. It's not just about the Guru's man, it's that the Sangat ne bhi hum sare ne dekh liya that no one else is worthy of being the Guru. Then Raj Yog Tak Deen Guru Ramdas. We go on one more. But Now that all of that's happened, and from that story, what it seems like is that simply what has happened is Guru Sahib's done a test, and someone's passed the test, and they've become Guru. For Shri Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji, similar things happened. Nanak Dev Ji was saying things like, go on top of this tree, shake the tree, and mathiaiyan will fall off. And everyone was like, that doesn't happen. Guru Angad Dev Ji went, and that actually did happen. So a test happens, and the person becomes a Guru. Now, if we look at that just as it is on surface level, what that appears to be is that Guru Sahib does a test, chooses a person, and that person then becomes the Guru. But that's not entirely true, because just as an example of our history, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, if you look at the timelines of their age, is actually older than Shri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji. And when you begin to study your history in the Guru Pratap Suraj, where most of our history comes from, Guru Nanak Dev Ji actually meets Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, but doesn't give him the Gurta Gaddi, or there's no further encounter, just the life moves on, different things begin to happen. So it seems like Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji is going to become the Guru, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji knows that, maybe Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji knows that, but to the rest of the world, these tests are going on. So Shri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj, our 10th Guru, and their 350 years birthday, you could say, that when they came on this earth is coming in January. And from their Bani, we actually realized that something really special was going on. So dunya de more ta eh dikhata ke about the peediyan and about the Thada Sahib ke Thada banao, do this test, do this, do that. But actually what was going on was something very special. Has anyone ever heard that Guru Nanak Dev Ji came from a family named the Bedis? Have we heard that? Has anyone not heard that? So everyone's actually heard a mention of Guru Nanak Dev Ji being a son of the Bedi family. Fine. The Bedi family and the Sodhi family are two very historical families. They go back and back and back and back. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj Ji, when they're doing dhyan of themselves and of Akal Purkh Waheguru, they realm into the past and they look at their family tree. And for us, we're human beings, you could maybe tell me 1 generation, 2 generations, maybe 5 generations. I don't think anyone in this room could probably tell me 6 or 7 generations back. So Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji in Vichitra Natak, which is a Bani that they wrote, they go back as far as the beginning of time. That when time began, this was the first person, this was the second, and from that my family came about. Now there's 2 families, the Sodhis and the Bedis. These are actually all one family, but what happens is, like families often do, there was a falling out, there was a quarrel between cousins. What ended up happening was one group of that family went to Kashi. Kashi is a city in India. It's like the Oxford or Cambridge, you could say, of India at that time, where education was at its peak. They went there and they learned the Veds, because the Veds were the scripture of that time. And that group of brothers and their family were known, it makes sort of sense now, Bedi, the people that read the Veds, that's what they were known as. But what ended up happening was that after some time, that the cousins, which were the Sodhis, they were called the Sodhis because there was a person, a king named in them that was called Sodhi Rai, so they were all called Sodhis. They called their cousins back and they said, you lot have become educated and Ved parties, you can read the Veds. We want to hear the Ved part from you guys. So they called them back, and what begins to happen is, like, you know how we have Akhand parts, they have a Ved part, and the Vedis, the family of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, many centuries, maybe thousands of years ago, they're reciting the part. And as they're reciting it, the Veds, there are 4 Veds, and they recite 3 of them. When they recite 3 of them, the Sodhis, they become so detached from the world, they're listening to this part and they become so respectful of their brothers, that our brothers have learned so much, they're so much greater than us, they're better people. They say that you can have the kingdom and we'll go and learn now, and we'll go and do bhakti, so roles are reversed. But at that time, the Vedis, and Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji wrote this, so it's not a made up story, Bedi payo prasanna raj keh paye keh. When the Bedis were given the kingdom by their brothers, they became happy. Ded payo bardan hiya hulusai keh. With the happiness of their heart, they blessed their cousins. Jab Nanak kal mein hum aan kahaye hain. When in Kali Yuga, Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes in our family. Now you might think, how do they know that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is going to come in our family? There are texts that are written thousands of years before Guru Nanak Dev Ji. It's called the Pavikat Puran, and you may be able to look it up on the internet. But there's 11 sloks, I believe they go up to number 33, the slok, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji's name is mentioned, and it says that they will come in Kali Yuga, in this dark age, in the family of Bedis. So how did they know? Maybe they knew this through their Bhakti, maybe they read about this prophecy that was contained in the Purans, but they knew, Jab Nanak kal mein hum aan kahaye hai, wo jagat pooj karto hi param pad paye hai. We promise you this, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji will come in our family, but we bless you that you guys will also be worshipped. If we move on. So the story, like Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji narrates it, Tritiya Ved sun betum kiya, Chatur Ved sun ko diya. You listen to 3 Veds, and listening to the 4th Ved, you gave us the land, the kingdom, you gave us everything. Teen janam hum hu jab tar hai, chauthe janam guru to hi kar hai. So after 3 generations of Gurta Gati, the 4th janam that we take will be in your family of Sodhis. And if we go on, Jab Vardhan samay boho ava, when the time came, so when 3 generations, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, when these 3 generations passed on, Ram Das Tab Guru Kahava, Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, who were all here to celebrate, that 4th Guru Sahib Ji came about, Tehe Vardhan Puratan Diya, that blessing that was given in ages gone past, Amar Das Surpur Mag Liya, when Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji left the world, they gave it to Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. Does that make sense? So we have 2 situations going on here. One, we have this story of the platforms, Thada Banda, Thada Totada, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji is testing the Jawais. But on the same hand, there's a prophecy that precedes all of this, that's thousands of years old, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji will come on this earth, 3 generations will pass, and the 4th will be Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. And one of the names for Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji in our Sikh Jagat, in the Sikh world, is Sodhi Sultan, king of the Sodhis, because they were from the Sodhi family. Does that make sense to everyone? Is anyone confused at this stage? Okay, that's fine. That's always positive, because you never know, because with me it often happens that lots of people look at me as if they're confused, but if I'm going too fast, please just do slow me down. A son-in-law. The words Punjabi, Jawai, Damad, Brona, these words, I'm sure you all have heard of them. Does anyone have a brother-in-law, a brother-in-law or a fuffar or someone? And has anyone noticed that when they come over to visit, Mummy Ji will tell you to be extra nice to them, or Mummy Ji and Daddy Ji are extra respectful of the son-in-law, of the brother-in-law, etc. Have we all noticed that? So it's in Punjabi culture that, you know, your Jawai, your son-in-law, you treat them with a lot of respect. That's just a cultural thing, it's not a spiritual or religious thing. Whether you should do it, not do it, that's up to you, and however it is in your families, it's not right or wrong. The point I'm trying to make here is that Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji takes Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji as their Jawai, as their son-in-law. How that rishta actually happens is a story in itself. Mata Ramoji, which was the wife, the mahal of Tan Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, they did a beinti to their husband, the Guru, Ki Maharaj Bibi Pani Ji, my daughter, she's come of age where I need to marry her. I would like for you to find a rishta for her. Tusi Guru vi hai, tusi Pita vi hai, and it's your responsibility. And Guru Sahib Ji said to her, Ki Jadu Kartar nu paya, oda prabandh aap ho chuka. When God wills it, it will happen. At that time, Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, who was a Sikh at this time, and they're doing seva of this Bauli Sahib, what Bhai Sahib Ji was telling us about. And they are muddy. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਟੋਕਰੀ ਆ. You might have seen in India how car seva happens. There's these bows, you could say, or maybe there's a better word for it. I don't know, है ना? But there's these bowls, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਟਾਂ, bajri, all of these different things, brick, mortar, clay, cement, all of these things. You put it in them and you move it and you move the dirt from one area to, and you dump it at another area. And Guru Ram Das Sahib is actually doing this seva. I think they're in their childhood too, because people got married very, very young in those days. They had just reached their adolescence, you could say. And they're doing this seva and they're muddy, they're choda paya, but they're of a nice height. Their dada was coming about as well, because Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, historically, of all our Guru Sahibs, their dada, their beard was the longest. So you can imagine Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji was quite beautiful, but they're Sadaran Sikh doing the seva, and their choda and all of their clothes have got dirty and muddy from doing this seva. They're walking past, and Mata Ramoji does ishara, ki jidda da aashiq hai na, you know how he is, jidda the height, the way he looks, or the way he talks, and the persona that he has, eitna da munda sanu chahida ya bibi pani vaste. And Guru Sahib Ji smiles, because they're all knowing, and they call Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, who's still a Sikh, they call, and they say, Purkha tu apna vansh, just tell me who's son, and he says that main Sodhi ha, main Hardas, Khatri da munda. He explains who his father and his mother, and how he came into Sangat, and all of these different things. And Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji says to Mata Ramoji, you've asked for a son-in-law just like him, Ede Varga Ihia. There's no second one. He is like himself. There is no one like him. Jitu kehni ya te itthe rishta kar dinne. And they're standing, Maharaj, in that bana, udde shagan kar ditta that the rishta would be done. And Maharaj di Hajuri de vich, Bibi Pani was called into the court of Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, and the Anand Karaj was done. In those days, the Anand Karaj was done with Anand Sahib, which was given by Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. Now it happens with Lama, which is a giving of Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. In those days, Anand Sahib, which was written by Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, wo padh ke Anand Karaj hunde si. Bibi Pani is the embodiment of Bhakti. That's what our history says. And Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji is now married her. This talk, just because I wanted to illustrate the point that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is God, we've not really done it in a chronological order. Normally, if you're to do a talk on Guru Sahib, you should really start from birth, their parents, all of these things. So I think we should really do that before we move on. And how they came into Sikhi. So Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji are the son of Baba Hardas Ji and Mata Daya Kaur. These are their parents, and they are a poor family that are living their life. And Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, from a childhood, one of the samadhiyan lagdiyan sigiyam, which meant anything spiritual, anything religious, any religious discourse, as soon as they would hear it, they would enter a spiritual trance of meditation, and it would carry on. They weren't really attached to the world, they were not a worldly person. Their father grew very concerned, especially because the house was poor, etc. You should work, you should do something for yourself, make a living. So what their mother does, their mom does, is she boils some chickpeas for them. And you can imagine what it's like, and now you can imagine that this is our Guru, that now the house of Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji is Harmandir Sahib, and it's made out of gold, and every day the Chandoa and the Ramalle are worth hundreds of thousands of rupees, and it's the golden temple, it's made out of gold. So that Sadaqar and all the glory that Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji has today, where did it all start? Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji is this poor person in a worldly sense, and their mother boils chickpeas for them. They put them in a tokra, in like a basket, and they say, take these and go to the bazaar and start selling them. Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji engages this, and this is how they begin working, this is how they make their livelihood. Now one day, some Sangat is coming from Goindwal, is going to Goindwal Sahib for the darshan of Sri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. And on the way, they stop and they see one of the sadhus, one of the saints, or an elderly man that was dressed in holy clothes. He sees Sri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, at this time he was like a child, selling the chickpeas, and he says to them, Minu de, minu chane de, minu paake de. And Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji just thinks of him as a holy person and just takes one handful out and the choli chapad there. That sadhu goes, that's not enough. And Maharaj puts another one, they put a third one, a fourth one, a fifth one. The sadhu goes, this is not enough, I'm going to need all of it. And obviously at this stage, Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji realised that he's not really going to pay for it, but they think, what the heck really, है ना? And they take the whole thing and ulta dande to umum de dande हैं. And what ends up happening is, वो सारी जिन्नी संगत बैठी है, they will sit down in a line, तो उन्होंने like how लंगर बरताया जाता है, उन्होंने बरता दंदे हैं. What ends up happening is the whole of the kungadiyan that their mother had borrowed for them, वो सारियां संगत चले गईयां. You can imagine now, the poor already, सारा संगत ਨੂੰ देता, they were scared. They were scared of their father कि मैं जे घर जाऊंगा मैनू वो shout करेंगे, whatever, all of these things will happen. And this is resonant because in Gurbani there's a story of Bhagat Namdev ji and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਆ. And their father basically tells them that they were Hindus, that you have to do bhog to a statue. You have to take some milk and you have to go to the statue that ਉਹਨੂੰ ਭੋਗ ਲਵਾਉਣਾ. So ਭੋਗ ਲਵਾਉਣਾ, spiritually what it means is to offer it to your deity so that they eat it. But in a common like sort of way you could say ਭੋਗ ਲਵਾਉਣਾ actually does mean to eat. ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਭੋਗਣੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖਾਣਾ. So Bhagat Namdev ji, in their innocence, in their childhood, they take the milk to the statue, but the statue obviously doesn't respond. Statue, rock, stone is not going to respond. What ends up happening is they get really worried and scared that my dad's going to shout at me, and that fear led into a spirituality where they're begging God to appear, and God actually appears and has that milk. That's a story, a real story, and a shabad in Gurbani. Name Dekh Narayan has said that God laughed at looking at Namdev. And Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji also has this fear of their father, कि I've given everything away, हम मैं घर कितना जावां. And what they do is they just choose कि मैं गोविंदवाल साहब में संगत दे नाल ही जाना. And that's how they got Sikhi. They actually just went off. They were scared कि मैं हुन घुमड़ियां देखतियां हैं, I have nothing, I should probably just go with them. I had actually as the title of the previous slide, Mehma Sadhu Sanki Sunho Mere Mita. What I meant by that is a verse from Gurbani that talks about the greatness of Sangat. So this is the first time that Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji encounters Sangat, and it enamors them, it gives them so much love that they are swept away with it and they're going to Goindwal Sahib. So maybe that's a reason to think that we should do more Sangat. Now, you can imagine, even after Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji have become the son-in-law of Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji, they don't change. They don't do the whole Jawai, Damag, Prana, all of these things. They don't do these things. वो फिर भी कार सेवा च लगे रहंदे हैं. उन्हां दा चोड़ा भी लिपड़िया रहंदा. And members of their family, Khatris from where they were from, came from Lahore. They came to Goindwal Sahib, and they looked at him and they laughed. They laughed and then they taunted. They said that we're such a powerful family of Suddis, and we can trace our lineage to Ram and Krishna and all of these different people in the previous ages. And tu kalank lwata, you've actually brought shame on our family, because jwai ho ke tu apne sore de ghar di car dhunda hai. You're doing, we could say, the dirty work for your father-in-law, because they didn't have the sharda or the vision to see Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji as the Guru. For them it was a worldly affair. Why should a son-in-law of our family be doing the seva of his father-in-law? So they taunted him like that. And Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji Maharaj, who was not Guru at this stage, then they brought the Suddis in front of Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji Maharaj, and they said, you don't understand what's going on here. And they go, we clearly do understand. He's got a tokri, a bowl of mud, that basket of mud on his head. We can see what's going on here. And Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji stopped them. You don't understand कि इधे शीश ऊपर छत्र चला होना है मैं. That canopies, great, beautiful canopies will go over his head. And that makes sense now when we go to Harmandir Sahib. Every single day, hundreds of thousands of rupees. If you want to chada Ramallah Sahib at Harmandir Sahib, it costs over 100,000 rupees back to Hana. Now, sometimes people argue Hana, that when there's poor people to feed or all of these different things, why should we spend so much on Ramallah Sahibs, etc.? But you don't understand. If you've got money, then feed poor people, do charity as well. But the Guru's house will always be decorated because of their beauty and their position on the earth. So that Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji Maharaj, that was their beginning. The story that I wanted to share with you here was Baba Sham Singh Ji were a saint that lived not even in 1923. I think they passed away. around that time. I think just after 1926, 27. 1923 there was a Guard Seva at Harmandir Sahib, that's why I remembered that day. And they took part in it. They were about 125 years when they passed away. For 70 years in their life they did Kirtan at Harmandir Sahib for no money, Baba Sham Singh did. And they were respected by every organisation in the Panth. Baba Sham Singh wrote a pothi, they wrote a book, which they wrote their spiritual experiences and the things that they experienced with Maharaj and the time that they'd spent before coming to Amritsar with the saint that they were with. And in one of the chapters, I read that they look back into Shri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, and you know this Sakhi that we've told, they put another light on it. They say that in a time, how many of you, I'm sure, is there anyone not here aware of the story of Rama and Sita? Is there anyone not aware at all? So the basic story is this, that Ram is an incarnation. He's not an incarnation of God, he is not God. He's an incarnation of Vishnu. Vishnu has been given the duty by God to go on the earth and help mankind out, and he sends incarnation time by time by time, right? It's not like Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji who are God. The way to understand it is like if there's a battle, in a battle first you send the infantry soldiers, then you send the cavalry, artillery, all of these different things, and when things don't pan out at all and you're losing, then at that stage the king or the general comes himself. So in that way, throughout the 3 yugs, Vaheguru sent different demigods and incarnations, but it was only at the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji that they came themselves. So in the story of Ram and Sita, what happens is that Ram loses his wife. That's a simple way of putting the story. He loses his wife, and for many years he goes in this pursuit to attain his wife back, who is in Sri Lanka, and Ravan has captured her. That's the story. I think you're all aware of it. There's a story that Baba Sham Singh Ji in their pothi share that relates to Sri Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji. They say that Ram, when he's in the forests of Amravati, which was the jungle where he was struggling, he was stressing out how to get his wife back, he thinks to himself that, what should I do and why am I so unhappy? Now this is an incarnation. If incarnations are unhappy, then what chance do we have, really? And that's why Maharaj didn't join us on to an incarnation, they joined us to God. With Ram, he gets upset and he asks the sadhus and the sants and the saints of that time that you guys are always happy and you're free and you're always happy, but look at me, I'm upset. Why are you happy? And they said, Asi Ram da naam leindeya, which means we do Simran of your name, the name of God. And he says, I don't really understand what's going on here. If I am Ram and I'm unhappy, but you lot are saying my name and you guys are happy and free, how does that work? And he thinks about it, and this is something that Baba Sham Singh Ji wrote, that he thinks about it, and he thinks, what's my full name? Ram Chandar. Ram, the name of Ram means Ramya Hoya, God which permeates everywhere. There's no fault in the name of God, but maybe that section in my name which is Chandar, maybe that is what is causing me all the pain. And at that time, Baba Sham Singh Ji says that they've read that Ramchandra did an ardas to Akal Purkh Vaheguru, that if you ever come about in the world again, in any form, and your name is Ram, never make it Ramchandra, never ever make it Ramchandra again. If you wish to come again and you wish to use the word Ram again, Akal Purkh Vaheguru, tu menu Ram de naam da das banai. Make me a servant of God's name. Not make me, or when you come, then come as the servant of God's name. So that was just one thing to add here. And our history says that when the Sodhis actually came and they went in front of Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji with Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji, and this is all going on, Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji could actually see in Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji that on the throne that they were sitting themselves, and then they could see all of the previous incarnations that were minute in comparison to them, and they saw their own glory at that stage. So moving on. A stage comes, we won't be able to cover the whole of Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji's Jeevan, especially just up to them becoming Guru. We'll cover a few things that they did whilst they were Guru. But what makes our Guru Sahib so special? They lose their father, Guru Ram Das Sahib Ji does. They've not seen them for many years anyways. And on top of that, the mother comes to Goindwal Sahib and she says, "Can I take my son because he's just lost his father? We wish for him to take part in the cremation." It's quite a just and a reasonable thing to ask of Guru Sahib. And Guru Sahib says, "I actually have no problem with this, you can take him." They call Guru Ramdas Sahib ji and ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, and they speak to their mum, and their mum says, "I want to take you back to Lahore to help with your father's cremation." But Guru Ramdas Sahib ji, at this stage, this is what the Guru Sangat does to you. They have become so spiritually high that there's a shabad, there's two shabads in Bani. I'm just going to share one of these shabads. After is the shabad that begins, "Andar sacha nehu preet, laya preetam apne, tan man hoye nihal, ja dekha Guru samne." That shabad, there are these pantatiyan. When their mother says to them that I wish to take you with me, this was Guru Ramdas Sahib ji's reply. "Main Satgur seti pirhdi kyun gurbin jiva mao." "Oh my mother, why are you taking me away? Satguru Sahib ji is my pirhdi, my true love, and I cannot live without Guru Amardas Sahib ji." That's what Guru Ramdas Sahib ji says to their mother when their fathers passed away. That's where their spirituality's got to. Guru Amardas Sahib ji then says to them, "Well, what are you going to do? I'm old. What are you going to do when I pass away?" So I think this is a sikya for all of us, because the Guru's not there in a human form anymore. So how do we call out to the Guru? So Guru Amardas Sahib ji is asking Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib ji Maharaj that Purkha tu mainu eh das, that when my body is not here, then what are you going to do? And Guru Ramdas Sahib ji says that, Sadguru Sahib ji, I actually have an answer for that. And the answer was, "Main Gurbani aadhar hai, Gurbani lag raha hu." That when you pass away, or your body passes away, I won't be upset, because forever in my life I will have Gurbani. Gurbani is your true form, and Gurbani lag raha hu. We're coming up to the 350 years anniversary of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji's birth, their Agman at Patna Sahib. So just relating to this, that's come in my mind. When Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji left the earth, they left at Hajur Sahib. How many people have been to Hajur Sahib? Okay. For those of us that have been, brilliant, but you should go again. But those of you that have not been, you should at least once in your life. Apne Purani Singh kende sige that there's a certain age, but even putting that aside, that is true, that you should go there before a certain age. But keep that aside, you should go there because that's where your father, Shri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji, left the world. And when a father leaves the world, they leave their son some treasure or their daughter some treasure, some estate, some property, something like that. And think of it this way, that your estate is waiting for you at Shri Hajur Sahib. So at Hajur Sahib, when Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji leaves their body, they go with their body, with their horse. I'm not going to go to that sakhi, but what it was, the funeral pyre was lit, a Maharaj was seen on their horse and they were flying up. And can you imagine at that time, that their Guru, that they'd spent so much time with, Anandapur Sahib, the Sikhs that were there were not new Sikhs, they were the same Sikhs that were coming from Anandapur Sahib that had joined on the way, the Malavi, the Sikhs from Damdama Sahib. They had seen the Sahibzade be Shaheed, all of these different things. They had so much attachment to Guru Sahib ji. And they're actually all running, that's what our history says, they're running towards the funeral pyre, and they're trying to grab hold of the feet of the horse or Satguru Sahib ji's charan, but they can't do it. And it's the same thing that Guru Ramdas Sahib ji is saying here, "Main Gurbani aadhar hai, Gurbani lag raha hu." Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji then looks at the Khalsa and they say, "Khalsa ji, hon mera roop shabad hai. If you wish to call out to me, then call out to the shabad." And the Bani that they read, or the verse that they read, is a verse that we should be reading every single day. Our Punjab Bani da Nitnem is Japji Sahib, Jap Sahib, Tuai Prasad, Svaiye, Chaupai Sahib, and Anand Sahib. The second Bani that we're supposed to read as Sikhs, Amritari or non-Amritari, is Jap Sahib. If we're not at the stage where we can read Bani, then listen to it. If you feel that's too much, then begin listening to the katha of these Banis one by one. Make that a habit in your life, because Guru Sahib ji left us with these instructions. So Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji, as they go, they say that my form is the Shabad, and they say Khalsa ji Chit Charan Naam, which is a verse from Jap Sahib. Ki hon mere jehde charan hai o naam hai o Shabad hai, and if you wish to hold my feet, then naam japo. So that was the hukam, and this is what Shri Guru This is so Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji's spiritual state even before they've become Guru. This is something that happens when Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji has become Guru. Now, I already shared with you that from all our Guru side, historically, Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji's dada, their beard, is the longest. Baba Sri Chand Ji are the son of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj Ji, and they lived for over a century, over 100 years, and they did yoga and they practiced yoga in such a way that their body never aged, that they remained like a Jawan, like a teenager for the whole of their life. That's what our history teaches us, that through yogic ability. Now, Baba Sri Chand's path is not the same as Gurmat, you could say, the way that they went about. But Baba Sri Chand Ji then eventually, they do not recognize Sri Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji or Sri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. They don't come into their sanctuary. They become a bit upset that Minu Guru ni banaya, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave the Gurta Gadi to a Sikh and not to their sons, even though the tests happened and they were proven that they couldn't be given the Gurta Gadi. But they were a bit upset and they didn't come. They did come, however, at the time of Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji. And they still came, when Baba Sri Chand Ji came, they came with a lot of ego and arrogance, you could say. And they looked at the very long dada of Tan Sri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji. And the first thing that they said was like a joke. Guru Ramdas actually stood up, even though they were Guru, ke Guru ke aaya, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji's children have come, Baba Sri Chand Ji's come, they gave them a lot of respect. So people that insult Baba Sri Chand Ji should remember that if Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, even if Baba Sri Chand has not attained the spiritual avastha to recognize the Mat Guru, can stand to do Baba Sri Chand Ji sadkar, then you guys should not insult Baba Sri Chand Ji so much that you actually insult them in a way that's very disrespectful, because the Guru is giving that much respect just because they were the Guru's son. So Baba Sri Chand Ji come, Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji stand up, and Baba Sri Chand Ji, instead of giving respect, they make a joke. They say, why have you grown your beard so long? Why is your beard so long? In our culture as well, in these countries, when one of our friends begin to keep their kesh or these things, all of these things happen in history because they still happen today. Guru Sahib Ji wanted to make examples of them. So we should encourage. When they say that, but Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, they're the Guru at this stage, remember, and they have a very long beard. Ek hath de vich unhone apni dadi phad li, they held onto their beard, they went onto their knees, and it was as if they were about to rub the feet of Baba Sri Chand Sahib Ji with their dadi. And at that stage, when that was about to happen, it didn't happen. Baba Sri Chand Ji went down and they touched the feet of Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji and matha tikya. They bow down and they go, I've realized now why I wasn't made Guru. Because what Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji had, that humility that led him ki drakhat to mithiyaiyaan chad diyan. What Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji had in comparison to Datu and Dasu, and what you now have, Tan Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, I do not have that, and that is humility. So Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji Maharaj had that much humility in them. Another interesting fact you could say about Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, there's two variations of this, or history points us in two directions, but the theme is the same. This is a Shabad of Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji. Ho reh na sakay bin dekhe preetama, main neer veh challe jiyo. What that means is, I cannot live without seeing you, O my beloved. So they're calling out to Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. I cannot live without seeing you. Main neer veh challe jiyo. That water is going from my eyes continuously. Now sometimes when we look at Bani, it's sad, but we've come into an age where people are looking at Bani like it's poetry or just words or all of these things. Bani is living. And every word of Bani has deeper meanings, and we should progress in that way. Now, history actually tells us, these are the words of Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, that water is always flowing out of my eyes. Now, history has told two accounts. Most historical texts say that Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji di jehdi dadi si, wo hamesha bhiji hundi si with teardrops. That they were so full of vairag, they were constantly longing for Shri. It wasn't that they were unhappy. But this is a way of uniting yourself to Akal Purkh Vaheguru, and it was a teaching for us that we should have this sorrow or this longing to meet with Vaheguru so much in their life, and for all of their life, Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji's one account says that Dadi was always wet, and another account says that actually, and this is just a single one, not the consensus generally is that it was the Dadi, but Bhagat Jaswant Singh Ji, who are writing books at this stage, they've actually written कि Maharaj Sahib Ji da jada chola si, that whole garment that used to get wet when they would read Bani and they would remember Shri Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. So this was the sort of true emotion that they had. That's it, yeah. Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji Maharaj is amazing. There are fourth Guru. They are the ones that founded, you could say, the city of Amritsar Sahib Ji. Amritsar Sahib, the city in itself, is holy, and it is the holiest of places in the universe, because Gurbani has said that Ditte sabbe tham nahi tujhe hai. It's not like, with all due respect now, it's not just like Mecca or Jerusalem or all of these places, because actually for Jerusalem, I suppose the scripture, it does say that it was the promised land, but again, that scripture it's not been written by, it's been written by prophets and messengers. Gurbani, the place that it gives for Harmandir Sahib and for Amritsar as a city, that place is not matched in any of the world. Amritsar Sahib has been blessed by 9 of our Gurus. It was founded by Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji actually went there. Guru Nanak Dev Ji went there. There's a story to that. They actually met Guru Angad Sahib Ji, Angad Dev Sahib Ji there as well. Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji bought this land. Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji was the ones that did this seva, and that Sarovar, that Naya Ramdas Sar, Guru Ram, the Amrit Sarovar, that came about at the time of Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji. You might have heard of the story of Bibi Raj Kaur. Her husband was a leper, and her husband saw that crows were going into the Amrit Sarovar and they were coming out as swans, as hunts. And then the husband himself thought that if that's the case with the swans, I might give it a try. And this leper, he had leprosy. Her father had actually punished her by marrying her to a person that had leprosy. He went and had Ishnan, and he came out as a new body. And then that happened. And from that happened on actually Vaisakhi Day. That happened on Vaisakhi Day. And Vaisakhi da Jod Mela was celebrated in the Panth from Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji's time onwards. Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji were the ones that began the seva of the Amrit Sarovar. Then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj Ji made the golden temple Harmandir Sahib, even though it was given gold after. So its real name is Harmandir Sahib, but it's just called that because of the gold, because we're only attached to what we can see, we're not attached to the Guru that made it. Moving on, and then after that, Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, their son, the 6th Guru, he had Akal Takht Sahib Ji right before that. Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji, when they were born, they were brought to, their father was Baba Gurditta Ji, that was the son of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. So they were brought to their grandson at Amritsar. And then moving on, Sri Guru Har Krishan Sahib Ji. After that, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji came up to the doors of Harmandir Sahib Ji, but the Masands didn't let them in. Sorry, 8 of our Gurus, I said 9, but 8 of our Guru Sahibs have been to Amritsar Sahib, and Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji is the founder of that city. So when you go to Amritsar Sahib, you will see on boards, on gates, everything Tan Tan Ramdas, Gurjin Siriya, Tinesavaria. That whole city and the people of that city worship Sri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji as if they are still at Sri Harmandir Sahib. And if you go there with that devotion, that can happen with you. The way, when I go especially, whenever I look at Harmandir Sahib, the thought always crosses me that ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਾਰ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਉੱਪਰ ਟੋਕਰੀ ਹੈ, he's muddy, ਉਹ ਲਿਬੜਿਆ ਤਿਬੜਿਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਸੀਗਾ, that the Sodhis made fun of, ਕਿ ਉਸ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਬਣਿਆ, he's become that has the golden temple, that has the shatar, has the beautiful Ramale, the canopy, all of these different things. Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji are the ones that gave us Lama da part. So hopefully, if anyone here is married, they were married through the Lama, or if you're going to get married, hopefully you will get married through Maharaj Sri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji's Lama da part. That was given when the Brahmins refused, because a Sikh was poor, and they charged a certain fees कि इतने पैसे दे, but when the marriage was about to happen, he wanted more money and the Sikh couldn't afford it. Then he came to Shri Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji, and Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji ne fir us vele lama uchariyan. They gave the Bani of Lama that we don't need to have a non-Sikh ceremony anymore. Unhone Sikha vaste Lama di Bani banati. So Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji are our fourth Guru, the fourth form of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the fourth form of Akal Patwari Guru. So if while sharing their praises, I've made any mistakes or I've said anything to offend anyone, please do forgive me. We're always learning. So with that, if we all just share the Fateh, and then we can open it up for a Q&A, a little vichar if we want to, if we've got time. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Any questions?
So is there, for example, anyone that wants to do sort of extra reading, or how you were sort of like referring to Gatha about Seek to Inspire and everything like that, is there actually more Gatha available on Sri Guru Ram Das Ji or the other Gurus, or about Ithas online on YouTube? Or
I don't know exactly what's available on YouTube, but what I can point to is that Bhai Veer Singh was a Sikh that lived about 100 years ago or so, maybe less even. Bhai Veer Singh wrote the 10 Gurus Jeevani, and I think as anyone that's beginning to learn, that's a really good point to start, because what Bhai Veer Singh Ji did was they read all of the historical texts and they were a Gurmukh with Sharda, with devotion themselves. So you don't want to be going and reading material that's actually, number one, not true, and it's been written with people that don't actually believe in the Guru. So Bhai Veer Singh Ji is a really good starting point. They've written Asht Gur Chamatkar, which has the 8 Gurus Jeevanis in it. They've written Shri Nanak Chamatkar, which is Guru Nanak Dev Ji's biography, you could say, and Kalgita Chamatkar, which is dedicated to just Sri Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji. So I think that's a good point. There may be Gatha on the Seek to Inspire page or other pages as well,
I
but
think that's what it mainly was, just like anything like in English.
yeah, no, these are all
Yeah.
in English. The Asht Guru Chamatkar, all of these, they've been translated into English. You can get them, I'm sure, for in South that Sikh missionaries. There's a society, they've got a shop. You can get it there. Seek to Inspire do a stall as well. I'm sure other organizations do as well. That you can get it, but actually you can actually seekbookclub.com, I think, or you can download it as well. You just have to sign up. You can get these things as well to learn more about Shri Guru Ramdas and all the other gurus. Anyone else with any questions? Or it doesn't have to be to do with the talk. Anything else we can do with Char Complex.
I think if this statement is just a statement of some advice, another place to do it would be Sikh Dharma International, because I would just like to small appeal something to that, because that's run by Yogi Bhajan, and he was like in love with Guru Ramdas, and some people don't like him, but who cares, you know, that's not in India, but he used to be a chill of a saint. His name was Baba Birsa Singh or something, and he got in trouble with occultic powers because Yogi Bhajan was all trying to get, you know, the Riddhis and Siddhis, and he acquired the Java Siddhi, which allowed him to control water. And then one day he had a kirtan in